What makes Lily Rose Depp's style so captivating, and why does everybody want to dress like her?
Up top, Lily, up top!
My name is Lily Rose Melody Depp.
Lily, yellow go. Can you get out of the way? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Beth Nicole and I love to talk about all things fashion and pop culture. Today we're going to be discussing why everyone wants to dress like Lily Rose Depp. Firstly, you need to recognise what she represents. French chic. While Lily Rose Depp is an icon in her own right, it can't be denied that French chic is a style that has been here before her and will live on after her. So why do we always look to French chic as the crown and glory of the fashion industry? To start, we need to go all the way back. Okay, when we're talking about French fashion, we're really talking about how strength, innovative ideas, and classic outfits all resonate from one place. And I'm talking from the 17th century up until modern day. France has held the crown for many fashion leaders, influencing what is deemed stylish around the world. So when considering Lily Rose Depp's style, you also need to consider the rich history and influence of another very important figure, King Louis XIV. No, but let's be serious, because that man influenced fashion and you might not even know it. King Louis had an eye for the extravagant and the luxurious, and used garments and clothing as a way to control the perceived nobility of his court and lift social status for people. The Palace of Versailles was a breeding ground for forward-thinking fashion designers, and it produced the very first self-proclaimed designer, Rose Bertin. Slay, go Rose. She was actually Mary Antoinette's personal dressmaker, who at some point of time would be referred to as the modiste or the minister of fashion, which I just think is iconic because I love it anytime a woman does anything. Like, yes, of course, the first fashion designer was a woman who styled Marie Antoinette. Why wouldn't she be? Then through the next couple of decades, fashion kept evolving and expanding, with France being the powerhouse across the globe. However, we then hit the French Revolution, sticky times, where it showed more simpler women's wear, with inspiration drawn from Greek and Roman fashions. Then fast forward into the 19th century, we had the birth of haute couture, with merit in particular from one man, Charles Frederick Worth. He coined the term haute couture and really started it all off. Of course, haute couture is still around today and is very prestigious, luxurious, exclusive, and something that is marveled upon. As we started to see the focus on luxury in the 19th century, Paris did remain the centre of fashion, undoubtedly. And within this century, we also seen the emergence of fashion exhibitions, which allowed designers to showcase their designs. Then we hit what's arguably the golden era for French fashion, the Roaring Twenties. It was the most active and highly explosive period of changes and transitions in the society. Notably, Coco Chanel was the leading fashion house of this era, with her simple, clear-cut designs that opposed the more over-the-top styles of the other designers. But nothing can stay shiny and new forever, and there is always a bump in the road, which could be called World War II. And of course, we've seen kind of a lull in the fashion industry, as it was not a necessity at this time. However, Paris did attempt to rebuild its solidity in the fashion influence post-World War II. This was aided by Christian Dior, who opened a couture house in 1946. Dior's new look re-established Paris as the global capital of fashion again. He also understood the importance of branding, expanding into accessories, perfumes, cosmetics, setting the stage for other modern fashion luxury houses. But why have I just gone through the history of French fashion? Well, it all leads to where we are today, as Paris Fashion Week is still seen as one of the big four fashion weeks, and multiple designer houses that hold legacy and influence are based in Paris. What does this have to do with Lily Rose Depp, and how does it have anything to do with the way she dresses? If we just take a look at Lily Rose Depp's life for a second, she is the eldest child and only daughter of Johnny Depp and Vanessa Paradis, and was born in Paris back in 1999. But she split her time between Paris and LA while she was growing up. During an interview in 2019, she said she felt really lucky to have grown up French American, and she has definitely taken on the culture and is immersed in it.
De femmes très différentes, mais qui sont très proches de leur féminité de manière.
She also said, I feel so connected to my French roots and my American roots. I'm connected to both cultures. I feel very lucky to speak both. So this makes sense as to why she dresses the way she does and why she has such a strong connection with the brands like Chanel. So Lily Rose literally grew up around it, wearing her mum's old Chanel pieces. Then at 16, she became the youngest ever Chanel ambassador. Since then, she's worked as the Chanel bride, starred in multiple campaigns, and is always sitting front row at their shows. With a rich history of French fashion, affiliation to the French culture, and access to these spaces because of her famous parents, there's no doubt that she would become a French chic icon. But I think Lily does it in a way that puts a fresh spin on it. So now it's for the fun part. We're gonna break down her wardrobe staples so you can recreate her look. And we're gonna look to some brands you could maybe search for on Vinted to get her vibe. The first thing you need to invest in are ballet flats and Mary Janes. She wears them with everything. Jeans, skirts, dresses. It's very Parisian, very dainty, and instantly elevates your outfit. Of course, it's very in keeping with her Chanel influence with the rise of the Chanel ballet flats. And she often tends to stick to black, cream, or blush colours. Now, some brands on Vinted you could search for to find some really good ballet flats would be Linear. These do a lot of different types of ballet flats in different types of styles. Or you could search up the brand Gabor, which is more of the classic type of ballet flat with the classic colours. The second thing that you need to dress like Lily Rose Depp are a pair of straight leg jeans. These are her go-to, and it always has to be straight leg and the fit needs to be perfect. She usually errs on the lighter wash side, slightly faded, and she often pairs them with a simple tee or a cropped cardigan. She really does like to keep her outfits simple with a little bit of edge. She might style them with a kitten heel or a vintage bag, but it's always a comfortable look. A brand you could search for on Vinted is Vintage Tommy Hilfiger. You're going to find so many types of jeans on here that just fit this aesthetic. You just really are looking for some sort of vintage jean. And then another brand you should search for are the Levi's 501. Of course, she's seen wearing these multiple times and they're just a classic jean that you can't go wrong with. And if you really do some digging, you can find a bargain on Vinted. The third essential in Lily Rose Depp's wardrobe is a basic top. She is the queen of simple fitted top. It needs to be good quality, but the simpler the better, to be honest. She loves a cami, a rib tank, fitted tees. It's minimal, but so chic, and it keeps the focus on the silhouette and doesn't draw too much attention from the whole outfit. A great brand you can look for to find some simple tops is Fenright Mason. You're going to find some long sleeve tops, short sleeve top, button up tops, but they're all very simple and can be styled in that French chic way. Then you could also search for Linear for the tops this time instead of the shoes. They also do a lot of really nice fitted simple tops, which is just perfect for the Lily Rose Depp look. Okay, now her fourth essential, and what she's often spotted in the colder months, is a leather jacket. When she wants to add some edge, she goes for a black leather jacket, usually retro and a little oversized. She gives very much 90s model off-duty. A brand you can search for on Vinted to find some nice leather jackets is a brand called Ashwood. They did a plethora of jackets on here and they really give the vintage vibe. You can get fitted, oversized, bomber. You can really get any type of jacket in all different colours. So this is a great one to look into. Then another brand you could look into is Wallace Sachs Leather Collection. This does so many leather jackets and you'll have an abundance to choose from. They do a lot of the bomber style jackets and a lot more of the black leather. So this is perfect if you want to get that staple like Lily Rose Depp. Her fifth staple in her wardrobe is a good mini skirt. In the summer, she swaps those straight leg jeans for an ultra cute mini skirt, usually in neutral or pastel tones. She usually styles them with some flats or trainers to get a casual day look. A great brand you could search for to find some cute mini skirts is a brand called Pilot. They do lots of cute clothes, but they have a big range of mini skirts that you could choose from just plain black to pleated, just a plethora of cute mini skirts that are great for the summer and great to create the Lily Rose Depp look. Another staple in Lily's wardrobe is a trench coat. She's known for often being photographed wearing a trench coat, particularly the Burberry trench, and as we all know, she likes to put on it right to the top with those ballerina ass slippers. She always styles it in a chic and modern way, and it really embodies like an effortlessly cool look, which I think a trench coat often does when styled right. So, a brand you can search for on Vinted is a brand called Ensign. These are classic light style trench coats and it gives very much Burberry vibe. I actually own one. It's my favorite thing. I wear it nearly every day in the autumn and in the winter. So, I live for the Ensign trench coat, and I've actually had people come up to me and ask me where I got my trench coat from. Like, girl, like two people have come up to me and been like, that coat's amazing. I want it. Where's it from? And they've been like, I got it off Vinted, but the brand is Ensign. And I suggest if you're looking for a good trench coat and you've never worn one before and you want to start with a good one, great brand to invest in. Then another brand you could look up is Warehouse. Now, this one's a bit more off the mark. Like, you wouldn't think Warehouse would do nice trench coats, but they do a lot of the classic designs and they have a massive range to choose from. So I think it's a great one to look into, and the pricing isn't too bad either. The next thing you need to dress like Lily Rose Depp is a good cardigan. She'll frequently wear them in different ways, layering them over a dress, styling them as crop tops, and she's been seen sporting them in all types of colours and designs. A great brand you could look for on Vinted is Laura Ashley. They do a lot of the basic cardigans and they honestly have every single colour you could ever imagine. And then another brand you could look for is Calico. They do the button-up ones but also the tie cardigans if you want a little bit of difference and edge. These are also on the cheaper end. And then finally, something that she always wears is a pair of 90s style sunglasses. She loves the small, rectangular or oval 90s off-duty supermodel look to her sunglasses and accessories in general. So when you're thinking about dressing like Lily Rose Depp, this is something you really need to focus on because the finishing touches are always the most important. And I would suggest on Vinted that you look for vintage Calvin Klein and their accessories because Calvin Klein was so big in the 90s that you're going to find some really nice accessories and pieces in that 90s vibe. That's my roundup on how to dress like Lily Rose Depp and why we're all so obsessed with French chic in the first place.